It's Listen In with KNN, the sports sound of the district. Today, we welcome a former baseball player turned recording artist who brings the same energy and talent from the diamond to the mic. He hails from New York, but now calls Denver, Colorado his home. Expressing his love for the game of baseball, he's now spreading his love of the game through his music. He's released several hits, including his most recent album, Superstar, to go along with this single, Baseball Money Rich.
Swing like I'm G Stanton. I'ma hit it from the Bronx to the East Hamptons. I'ma pop the chain, watch me pimp this. Call me Big Trip. No, I swing a big stick.
We now welcome Big Trip to this live stream of Listen In with KNN. Here's your host, Kelsey Nicole Nelson.
I get a big check. Step up to the plate, I'll be a big threat. Hit it at the park.
It's Listen In with KNN, the sports sound of the district. We bring you the biggest guests, great analysis, and the hottest sports stories in the nation's capital and beyond. And we bring it to you live. Welcome to this live stream broadcast of Listen In with KNN. Here's your host, Kelsey Nicole Nelson.
Here we go. All right. Hello, everyone, and happy Thursday. Welcome into a brand new edition of Listen In with KNN, presented by Fox Sports Radio, 96.9 FM and 1340 AM, with me, your host, Kelsey Nicole Nelson. I am so excited for today's show because we're blending sports, music, and culture. We all know they're intertwined, but really have someone that has touched all of those different phases. We're going to have fun. We're going to learn from him. Bring your questions, bring your comments. I already see you guys commenting. Hello, what's up, Kyle from Green Bay, Wisconsin, tuning in. But again, this is going to be a very fun show. And it's actually a really fun time to talk about baseball, especially here in Baltimore and the DMV area, because what our team is doing. But we'll get into that with Big Trip. But nonetheless, my special guest for today, he is a former baseball player and now current rapper. If you heard his music in the introduction, you guys know I'm already super excited to talk to him. If his music doesn't get you going, I'm sorry, but you're not a music head. I don't know what's happening, but it has to make you feel some type of way. So without further ado, please help me welcome in Big Trip to the show. How are you?
Hello, Kelsey. It's great to meet you, the whole KNN space. I'm happy to be here. Grateful to be here with you guys today.
Thank you so much. I got excited to have you. What's up, Brandon Robinson from Harlem, co-host with Valley Sports. Appreciate you tuning in.
New York. That's why we got New York in the building, baby.
Look, we got to get New York in the building. All right, well, at least we're East Coast family because I'm a DC girl, but I have lots of love for New York. So let's actually get into it. What have you been up to lately?
Man, it's been I've been blessed recently. It's been a big mixture of, I've been making music, creating music. I was on tour earlier this year. I hit about 13 cities, starting off on the West Coast, and that kind of took up my first, 3 months of the year, and then it was time to start creating and getting back into music. So now I have the whole vault, is what I call it. I got a heavy vault of music that's about to be released. We just dropped the first one called Superstar, and that's just
congratulations, by the way.
I appreciate it. Yeah, that's kind of the little teaser to what we got going. But besides that, staying active, like I said, I'm still an athlete. I still train like I got a game tomorrow. So I do a little bit of everything. So we're living over here.
I love that. You said you're still an athlete. You have a game tomorrow. What's the game tomorrow?
Like I said, that's just, that's my phrase in my head. I still train like I got a game tomorrow. So just in case, the Yankees call me
always
up,
ready.
Calls me up, I'm always ready for it. So
always ready for it. And you're from New York. Was that the team you grew up rooting for?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a New York raised Italian. So I grew up about 30 minutes from the Bronx in Port
Yeah.
Chester, New York is where my father's from. Lived in the Westchester County area, but a New York Italian raised, you don't really have too many options to go. It's kind of the Yankees, the Bronx Bombers is what you like. So that's what, I fell into.
Yeah, so that's what you fell into. Like you said, you didn't have too many choices or
I
options.
didn't.
And
I didn't.
obviously, you continued to grow in baseball. This was actually the sport that you went on to play baseball with a full scholarship, right, at Iona Preparatory School. Not only did you watch baseball, Big Trip, you actually got really good at it, which is pretty amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was a big athlete my whole life. My father was a Division I player at Quinnipiac University in Connecticut.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I got three older sisters, but me being the youngest and the boy, I knew he wanted a boy. And then once, we finally got our hands on a man, I think it was time to, like I said, I became the athlete real quick. So, played a lot of sports my whole life, and probably I think I was in 8th grade. And I think I'll remember this conversation forever, to be honest with you. My father sat me down. He said, look, you can play all these other sports, or we could choose one right now. And if you choose one right now, then I'll take you to where you want to go with it. And at that time, baseball was the one I liked to play, and I was actually the best at. So, like you said, I went to Iona Prep for a little bit, and then I signed my Division I scholarship to Elon University my sophomore year.
Which is amazing and incredible. I love that you said, baseball was the sport that you ended up choosing. I'm curious, basketball, football, nothing else ever pulled you?
It was, I'm telling you, I played everything from football to basketball. I even played hockey. I swear, I surprise people when they see me on skates. They don't believe it. I said, just wait till I get on the ice. I'm telling you. But
multi-talented.
Movement. I'm very big into movement. The human body and performance, was something that always piqued my interest at a young age. So kind of translating that onto the field. And then, even like I said today, I'm playing sports I never thought I'd play. I just played pickleball the other day. I didn't even know what pickleball was. You know what I'm saying?
You're getting real diverse in the sports. I love it.
I was out there winning. That's the thing. I'm still winning, so it's all good.
That's what it's all about. I encourage the kids nowadays too to be involved in so many different sports, because a lot of those sports teach you so much, not just about other sports, but about life, right? And about, teamwork and everything else. And so I'm all for playing as many sports as you can. You might just be like Big Trip and just be good at a lot of stuff. So you never know though until you try it.
You gotta try.
You gotta try it at least. You talked about going to Elon University in North Carolina, but I know in 2015 something actually happened, right? You had an accident that actually left you in a coma. You made a full recovery, thank gosh. And then you later transferred to the University of Colorado in Boulder. So I want to kind of touch on that, because obviously I'm sure there was a point in a moment in your life where your life kind of took a shift, right? You probably had this plan and thought of something that you'd be doing. And thank gosh you came out of something that was life threatening for you. And then all of a sudden, you're having to kind of change your life.
Yeah, kind of like what I said, I grew up and I was bred on sports, my whole life, and I was very into it. And kind of as I was gaining success, and I got my scholarship. And for me at the time, I was a young kid, I was a sophomore in high school. Normally people sign their scholarships maybe junior or senior year, but for me, I wasn't good in school. So I was like, cool, if you guys want to offer a scholarship, I don't got to do good on the SATs, let's do it. I'll sign right away. But I was doing a lot of growth on the outside of school, and I was actually reading a lot more books at the time and listening to stuff that wasn't just presented to me. And I was growing a lot as a man, to the point where I was out there in Elon in North Carolina my freshman year, and it was in the Bible Belt of North Carolina. And like I said, I'm from New York. And during the summers, I would always go down south. So the South wasn't anything new to me, but kind of when I was finally out there by myself and being out there in the summer, because they had me out there in the summer before the fall started. But like I said, I was growing a lot, and I started to question stuff of, I know I'm good at baseball. I know I'm good at swinging this bat, but what if I try to translate these skills to something else that I wanted to do? And that was kind of, a question that was lingering in my mind that I didn't really want to face. I never really wanted to face it, because I said, I'm in too deep. My family knows I'm a baseball player. My whole state knows I'm the baseball player.
Right.
I was kind of raised up as the big baseball player in my town and in my state, but that realization finally hit, So I was in Elon. I probably played about 5 months, from the start of the summer to about October to when I quit. And because I'm such a all or nothing person, once that realization hit me, it was something I couldn't really hide anymore. Despite how bad I felt of having to break this news to my family and to my friends, and I was calling them up like, yo, bro, I don't think I could do this anymore. And they're calling me saying, Trip, like, everyone would kill to be in your position, man. You're Division I. You got a scholarship. You're in a beautiful school. It's a great academic school that Lord knows you can be at grades-wise. You're there. So I had everybody kind of telling me not to do it, but because I felt it in my heart, I had to make that walk down to my coach's office one day, Michael Kennedy. And I said, look, coach, I said, I appreciate, all the belief and the time that you spent into me, but unfortunately, I can't give you my all right now. I'm not fully passionate about it, and my mind was too curious to see what else I could do. But like I said, back to my point, I'm a very all or nothing person. So when I quit the team, that was the first time in my life where I didn't really have a dream in my mind, and I didn't really have a direction going forward. So I was kind of just being all or nothing, just out here in the wild. That's how I got it. So when you're a freshman in college, that could kind of turn into a different situation. So
we all remember freshman year.
I think everyone remembers their freshman year a little bit. So for me, it turned into, okay, so I'm not going to be a baseball player anymore, but I got to be the best at something. And again, everything was happening so fast. My life was changing that the only other thing around me as a freshman was partying, So what happened was I kind of took my mentality and I said, cool, I'm going to be the best partier this school has ever seen. I'm going to get my reputation up. People already liked me because I was kind of the Division I kid who quit, and now I was getting invited to all the parties. I felt cool. I felt validated in my choices. And then it got to a point where one day in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, we did a beach trip out there. And I ended up in a coma, like you said. And what happened was, if you Google it right now, the blood alcohol concentration level. So normally I think it's 0.08. You get pulled over to get a DUI.
Right.
The normal body starts to reject alcohol at 0.2. And then, serious stuff at 0.4 on Google, it may say death. And on Google, it'll say 0.5 is death. And I actually had a 0.62 blood alcohol concentration level. So I was in a coma for about 18 hours. They called my family, and they're all in New York. So basically, they all got the call. And my sisters and my mom drove down. And then one of my sisters and my father flew down. My mom's boyfriend was there, too. So the whole kind of scene was around me. Obviously, I don't remember too much besides I woke up about a day later. I looked to my homie. I said, yo, just make sure my parents know I'm okay. And he said, hey, buddy, turn over. And I turned over.
And they were right there.
I saw the whole family right here. So it was, I was underneath a lot of, drugs at that time just to kind of get my body back to homeostasis. But like you said, it was a very life-altering, thing that happened to me. And, it's something that I carry on my shoulder every time I wake up now. So
it's like I feel like it just gives you kind of a new thankfulness, right, for
Absolutely.
life. I mean, you're obviously here to tell that story. Maybe some people who might have had the same thing not be here, but then I feel like that just really puts your life into focus, right? You've kind of been given the second chance. So now what do I do with that second chance? And obviously it seems like you fell into music. So I'm curious, did the music kind of love start when you started being kind of this party guy around campus? Is that kind of how you fell into the love of hip hop, or was it like growing up in New York, right? Obviously we know all of the cultural influences in New York, with all the rappers that come from there. So just kind of curious where your love of music started.
Yeah, I mean, I was always, my mother would say, from the time I was born, if you put on a beat, I'll be a baby in my head.
You just start moving.
And my mother was, she was a background dancer for a bunch of very talented musicians too. So the music was always in me. And growing up, my father listened to a lot of, Eric Clapton and Santana. My mother was, she had like Earth, Wind and Fire, Michael Jackson. So I kind of grew up as a young kid with a lot of music around me. And then, like you said, being from New York, even though I was in the, the suburbs, and I lived in a bunch of different towns throughout the suburbs of New York, about 30 minutes from the city, the influence of hip hop was enough to infiltrate me still at that point. So I was always the kid, who was rapping at the parties or rapping, at lunch with the kids and freestyling this and freestyling that. And they may have been listening to different music, but they always knew me as the hip hop kid. And ironically, when I was in 5th grade, I did a school play and I was the hip hop dude. And I'm gonna put that photo up one day, but it was the first time I ever wore makeup. They put makeup on my face. I had a Stephon Marbury jersey on, and I went and I exactly. So it came full circle. And then I played the drums too. So I'm still a drummer now. I play the drums on stage when I rap. It's something I like to incorporate. But music was always the background music to me playing sports. And whenever I had to go to the gym and train, it was that extra energy and motivation in my ears. So when I didn't want to wake up at 5 a.m. Okay, let me throw on my headphones. Now I can get through the workout a little bit better. So it was kind of always that it was in the background of my sports, but as I grew as a man, it kind of shifted to the front. And then the music kind of became more of, oh, wow, I know why I feel good now. I know why I have the energy to do something. It's because of the beat is doing something to me. So I said, you know what, let me just grab this steering wheel. I'm going to make my own, So that's how
Yeah, it makes me feel away. I mean, you talked about the musical influences that were playing in your household. It's easy to see how you got into music. Some really good music, by the way, by your parents making those
Absolutely.
choices. And I feel like the same thing for me. We have a similar background where you said you used to spend some time down south when you were growing up. Same for me. You grew up on the East Coast, but used to spend my summers in Jackson, Mississippi. Much like
Oh, wow.
my family, I got so, music was always in my household. So, going back to playing sports, what do you do before a game? You're listening to music, right? On
Exactly.
your bus ride down, and everybody's music choice. It's actually pretty interesting, I'm sure, if you got to see what all your teammates were listening to.
Yeah.
Music kind of is that calmer, right? It gets you ready for a game. I think music has been integrated into all sports. I mean, any sports game you go to, what are they doing? They're playing music, right?
Yes,
It's
sir.
something that kind of brings us all together. We love singing Sweet Caroline all together. These are the type of
Uh-huh.
things, right, that
Uh-huh.
people love. So I'm glad you kind of touched on all of those different influences and kind of what got you into music. But then obviously you had a confidence to go on and continue music. I'll tell you, Big Trip, I was not blessed with the musical talent, right? I'm just meant to be singing along, lip singing the songs, not to be doing it by
I
myself.
don't know, Kelsey, and I think that's the biggest thing I learned,
Yeah,
from sports, and that I'm so grateful is that, you know, obviously as I was a kid and I was playing baseball, I'm not smaller than what I was. I'm 6'1". I was about
yeah,
215 when I was playing baseball, power hitter. I'm about 185, 190 now, so I'm a little bit
yeah,
smaller and leaner. But
yeah.
even when I was playing baseball, that everyone, just like that word you said, talent. Everyone would say, "Trip, you got talent, you got talent." Or they go to
Mm,
my pops and say, "He's got some crazy
yeah,
talent. Keep working and blah blah blah." But for me, all it was I was swinging the bat. I was working harder than everybody I knew, and that's why,
mm.
like even you said, if you love music, Kelsey, you can do it. I'll tell you because
Keep follow. Hey, I might drop something one day,
come
Big
on,
Trip, or maybe.
I got the co-sign. I'm gonna retweet it. I'm gonna post about it too. But that's why I'm so grateful about sports because it,
Yeah,
it took me that attitude to understand. Okay, how am I going to develop from a good player to a great player, and how am I going to develop from a high school player to a Division I scholarship player to an eventual pro? Is what I wanted at that time. But I took that mindset of every single day. And I built a batting cage with my father, in his little warehouse that he had. We have a store called Tripodi's Appliance in Portchester. You can go get your dishwashers and TVs, say what's up to Lou. But I took that same mentality of, after practice, after
yeah.
going to the gym, I'd go to my pop's batting cage. But instead of the batting cage, I made my own studio, and I'm actually in the studio now. I got the microphone right here, but all it is repetition, and that's why I
Right.
feel like I learned an unbreakable kind of work ethic with sports and how far it got me. So that's kind of where that question in my head came in. Okay, cool. Now I got this
Yeah.
unshakable work ethic. Let me see what I can do with it. But I
Right.
don't think to most people from the outside when they heard I was doing music, they had no idea it was coming. But
Yeah.
like you said,
But
it's
like you said, that life will lead you down these certain paths. I love what you said. It's the work that you put into it. That's usually the difference between a good athlete and a great athlete, right? How many hours are you in the gym? How much are you working? How much are you strength training? All of that goes into what are you putting into your body, right? All these
exactly.
different things kind of go into making you you. When you love something and you have a passion for it, you'll put everything into it. I mean, you're joining us, as you said, you're ready to go right now. You got the microphone right
Hey,
next to you
I can go right now.
and the
I
baseball
can
bat,
go right
and the
now.
baseball
I'm
bat. I
telling
love
you,
it.
got
But
to keep
that's
it
what
for
it is.
inspiration.
You always got to be ready. And again, that inspiration that's there. As we keep talking about music, I know it's actually while you were in college, right, that you actually founded the group Low Hanging Fruit, and you
That's
became
it.
the leading hip hop group in the Denver area. And if you're like me, I don't know if people really associate Denver with hip hop groups. I kind of
Yeah.
want to hear how this kind of all came together.
Well, it was it was kind of a weird situation. So right when I got out of
Yeah,
the coma, I didn't really have a clear path of what I wanted to do. I had to go and take some time to reflect on everything and let it kind of sink in of what happened and
yeah,
reshape the direction of where I wanted to go. And again, I'm from a New York Italian family. My whole family and our whole cousins, we all live in a 10-mile radius of each other. And
yeah,
for some reason, I had a dream at night, to be honest with you, of the Colorado mountains. And I never stepped foot
yeah,
in Colorado. No one in my family's ever stepped foot in Colorado, but I'm a very, spiritual person and
yeah.
my dreams mean a lot to me. So when I had that dream, I was driving in the car. All of a sudden I see the mountains. I said, yo, those are the Colorado mountains. Next morning I wake up. I said, I've never even been to Colorado. I said, how do I know that? And just off of that,
Yeah.
one dream I had, I told my pops and my family, I said, look, it's going to sound weird, but I'm going to go to Colorado and see what happens. And music wasn't
Yeah.
in the picture at that time. Like I said, at that point, it was about 3-4 months after the coma incident. I really like I said, I like reading and I like writing a lot. So I said, I'm going to go to the mountains, maybe become a mountain man and just write some books under a pen pal name and call it a day. Spend the rest of my life. But then I
Yeah.
realized, I said, look, I got too much swag. I said, I got to utilize what I got too. So I said,
Right.
I got out there, and how it all happened was I landed in Colorado, and probably within 2 weeks, I got, by the grace of God, invited to a studio session, and I was playing the drums at the time. But
Amazing.
one of the guys had a microphone, so I was like, "Yo, let me try to do a rap," and it was the worst rap in the entire world. Like at least to my standards, it was bad. But what happened was the homie who had the microphone, he started spreading word around campus that, "Yo, this kid Trip is rapping," and then all of a sudden, off of one song, there was another rapper on campus at the time, Soup, my brother Soup, and Soup De Jour. He was like known as the bolder rapper. And me being competitive, my buddy was like, "Yo, I'm gonna put you in the studio. You guys are gonna make some music together." And like I said, I'm always competitive. So I said, okay, I never wrote music, but I said, let me practice. So for 3 days in a row, I was writing until I ran out of the notebook just so I could be ready for this rapper who ended up being, one of my best friends ever, who walked in there. And like I said, my competitive edge just kind of made me better and better and involved. And like you said, within probably about a year and a half, we went from being nothing, not even having a name, to being the second biggest draw for hip hop in the Colorado area. So
that's amazing. That's amazing. And you took that leap of faith. This is what I preach to people all the time. You got to bet on yourself before you ask other people to believe in you. You got to take a chance on yourself. Absolutely. And that's exactly what you did. And you took a vision and turned that into a reality. And I think that's what life is all about, right? A lot of us can have dreams, but how do you make that dream into fruition? How do you make it real? And then not only did you make it real, you went on to become one of the best groups, as you just mentioned, in that area. It gets no better than that. Absolutely. I mean, that's amazing to do. All right, Kyle wants to ask you a quick question since we talked about sports. He said, since you said you played every sport, did you also do wrestling?
Oh, I didn't do wrestling, but my grandfather was a boxer in the Navy. So I did a lot of, sparring and boxing growing up. And I had a purple belt in karate, no wrestling. I have a lot of I'm a big MMA fan though too. So I could talk all MMA all day with you, Kyle. That's for sure.
You got a fan in him. We might have to get you to WWE one day or something one day. Make a special guest appearance.
It sounds like a wrestler's name already. Big Trip. You
have the name already for the announcer. So now we just got to get you there. Well, as we keep talking about music, again, talking about betting on yourself, in 2020, you actually left the group Low Hanging Fruit, right? And you went solo. I want to hear about that decision because, all the time, we all have these favorite groups, right, that we listen to. What happens in every group? They eventually seem like they break up and someone wants to go solo. Yeah. So what was the decision to go solo for you? And, how did you feel it was the right time?
Yeah, for me, it was, I was getting some signs, from some people kind of outside. Normally I am a humble person, to a fault. I was raised very humble by my family and my father, but I was getting some signs from the outside. Sometimes people would chirp in and say, "Hey, you're kind of sticking out more. You gotta, learn to, or you gotta tell your buddies to step it up a little bit." But in my mind, I was like, they're probably telling him the same stuff, And again, going back to just reading signs and accepting what the universe was bringing to me. At one point, we had a new manager come in, and he was kind of working with us as a group, and he did a lot of good successful things in the music industry, and he pulled me aside a few times and said, "Trip, I know you love these guys, I know you're very loyal, but he's like, your best way to help these guys out is for you to blow up as a solo act yourself and then bring it full circle to the group." So that's kind of what happened, and like I said, I don't, for me, if I'm getting signs and I'm reading, the universe is telling me, it doesn't take much for me to act. I said, okay, look, I had to have the conversation with my guys of, look, the music industry involves a lot of money, time, and effort. And I said, right now, with the manager we're working with, he's advising us going this way. He has his success in his field, so there's a reason for me to, believe him and try this. And at the end of the day, they know where my heart's at. I'm always trying to be a family person with this. I'm always trying to bring it full circle. So it was just something that we said, okay, let me release, a few solo tapes. And I was actually the second person in the group. At first, I didn't drop any solo tapes. The only music was on the group. My partner actually had a few solo tapes out, but I didn't even have mine out yet. So I was like, yo, you know what? Let me catch up. Let me put my solo tapes out. And like I said, it was just one of those, decisions that you have to make, and, that kind of just come with it. But as long as you and your team understand the integrity of each other and understand it's a family, then, it's going to move like a family. So.
There you go. And it's good that you guys, had that conversation, because sometimes, you hear these bad breakups with groups, right? And I mean, but it sounds like, they knew where you were, you knew where you were. And again, you bet on yourself and took that leap of faith. Exactly. Let me ask you, as someone who wanted to go solo, Italian American, right? And you're wanting to go solo, you're wanting to do hip hop and rap. Was there ever a moment for you where you were kind of scared or nervous that you'd be accepted kind of by the larger crowd or, by the larger kind of audience here in America?
I mean, I really wish that I could say I was scared, but I've just been tested so much in my life, whether it was through familial situations or sports or stuff outside of sports, to where again, it goes back to my set of confidence through my work ethic. You know, I just really have such a solid core of I'm not going to be scared because I'm prepared, you know, and that's really where I think fear comes from, is a lack of preparation. But as long as I'm prepared to execute whatever skill I'm trying to do, I'm not going to be scared if there's one person in front of me or if there's 20,000 in front of me, you know? So it really is just, for me, it's a testament to how hard you're working. If you're scared, you're not working hard enough, you know? But because I grind every day, because I sweat it out every day, because I'm in here getting my reps in the studio, it's like,
you're putting in work.
I can't, you know what I'm saying? I know what I'm doing every day, so there's no fear that's coming in. But yes, there's of course, you know, times of being, you know, when you're not actively working, or you know, you're at home, you're about to go to sleep or something, some thoughts will kind of creep in of you know, anxiety or something, thinking about, you know, what could go wrong. But you know, I just learned to practice, even mentally. I practice when those thoughts come up, I redirect it to a positive thought of, nah, you know what, I'm gonna rock this, well, this is gonna go well. And that's all it is, you know, just trying to figuring out the patterns of yourself and the patterns of your body and your thoughts and correcting it, you know, that's all we gotta do.
And like you said, those positive vibes go a long way. You got to start speaking positives to yourself for you to start believing that. And I love what you said, you know, preparation is always the best key. Nothing beats being prepared. Is when you're prepared for anything to come your way. So much, you know, we don't, you know, people always see the glory, but not the story. But a lot of the story includes that preparation work that goes into it.
That's
I tell people all the time.
That's a
there
song.
You go.
I like it. See, you're doing it, Kelsey. You're doing it.
But, you know, and it's so important for people to talk about that. And then I think, you know, you think about music too, what you're doing is you're telling your real story, right? I mean, you're talking about the life that you live, right? The things that you've been through. And that's why I think music connects with so many people, because so many things that you're going through, that you've been through your life, the trials and tribulations, the adversity, so many other people out there can relate, right? And that's why we relate to so much of the music that's out there. And that's why I love what you're doing. And as we talk about what you're doing, all right, let's get to the exciting part. You're trying to merge, and not really you're doing merging hip hop culture and baseball. I want to hear all about this, because, you know, when we think about like hip hop music, probably the top sports that come to mind. I'm actually curious, you know, what sports come to mind for you when you think about hip hop and, you know, and music?
For me, it's the NBA is the biggest one.
Of course, right? Because I mean, so many rappers now, they go to NBA games, and then so many NBA players now. What are they doing? Right? They're dropping mixtapes now, right? Like athletes want to be rappers, rappers want to be athletes, and so it comes to mind when you're in an NBA arena, you know, or football games, right? You hear a lot of rap songs, you hear the players' playlists. But baseball is an interesting sport to really talk about, especially because we see the numbers declining in baseball with Black players, right? But at the same time, you're bringing hip hop to baseball. So I'm kind of, you know, talk about why you thought this was important, kind of what you want to do, because it's really merging your two loves, right, of baseball and hip hop music.
Yeah. So I mean, the first original kind of, you know, inspiration came from MLB The Show, the video game, and so like I said, you know, growing up in New York, I would be playing a lot of games, you know, with some kids from Harlem, with some kids from the Bronx, or I'd be going, you know, across the country. Baseball really took me across the country from a young age. So I really got to get a different ear of sounds of music and culture that were happening around. And I'd go down south, they would be playing country music, or, you know, I'd go to the Bronx and they'd be playing Dominican music, you know? So I never really got a consistent sound for what baseball was really until I got to that college level, or to that elite level, to where every tournament was playing country music. Every tournament was playing the same song over. And then I played MLB The Show, you know, just as a high schooler growing up, or it may have been MLB The Show 19 or 18 or something like that, just as I was starting music. And what I realized was when I would turn on NBA 2K or NFL, you would hear the energetic kind of hip hop music, you know, right away. And right now, when you play the baseball games, there's not as much of that. And really, to me, it was just a realization that, you know, rock and roll used to be the #1 streamed and bought music in the entire world, you know, in the early 2000s, late 90s, 80s. But now it's the first time ever that hip hop has taken over, you know, the most listened to genre of music. So for me, I was just kind of like, damn, like, you know, whenever I'm on the, you know, road playing baseball, when I was on the road, I was hearing different types of music. I was hearing a lot of different types of music, but you know, overall as a whole, baseball wasn't really expressing those different, you know, cultures and those music and those sounds. So I heard the game, I heard the soundtrack. I said, nah, I said, look, I got to make this hip hop, you know, start to blend into this, you know, genre of baseball. And just like you said, you know, I want to see more celebrities throwing out the first pitch, sitting at the, you know, first row, having a conversation just like they're doing at the NBA game. So that was kind of my mission with the song Baseball Money Rich. You know, it's kind of my first merger of the two. And
I love it too. Yeah. I mean, and what you just talked about celebrities, throwing these first pitches. By the way, shout out to Sweetie for throwing
you
that
did
first
well.
pitch and those nails,
They're out
those
here.
hills. Like she set the bar high. So fun fact, I have to do that next month at a local baseball game.
Yeah.
So geez, Sweetie, you just made it hard for the
She
rest
said
of
it
us.
hot.
Like nobody, no one can have a bad first pitch anymore. Because I mean, obviously she did to that level. But what you're talking about, you're right. We want to see those athletes at these games for a long time. I mean, I think if you grew up with baseball, you love the sport. It used to be America's pastime. But what a lot of younger kids say that don't want to play baseball, they say it's too slow or it's boring. But I think when you put that music element into it, that makes that whole ball game experience different.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, and now you're also, and then you think about, too, when you bring that music into it, how you're diversifying the sport. Because then little boys and little girls out there can be like, hey, that music, I like what they're playing at the baseball game. Maybe then they go to that game and then who knows, maybe they want to be involved in baseball. So I feel like it goes so much further, right? Than
It
just
does, yeah. And I
baseball.
mean, it was amazing. When I first dropped the song and it got some good press, and I was having kids all over, and from the United States to Canada, their fathers, or they would send me the photos of them walking out to the song, and I was like, this is what I wanted, kind of just like when I was up there at bat, I had my walk-up song, and like you said, it kind of calmed me down and put me at peace, but still gave me some energy to it. But when I saw these little kids walking out to Baseball Money Rich, I was like, ooh, I know I'm giving them that energy, that confidence right before they're about to go up there and swing. So it was a beautiful moment, and like I said, I think it's one of many that's about to come. That's for sure.
It's a full circle moment, right? From you loving baseball and now being involved in music to now little kids saying, wow, I love this. And I think that's what's so fun about life, and you see it go full circle. And now just not just talking about bringing hip hop culture to baseball, but Chicago White Sox first baseman, right? Jose Abreu actually joined forces with you to officially integrate hip hop music into this. So, I mean, we're not just talking about this. It's not just a concept anymore.
It's
you actually partnered, and you not only partnered with just anyone, you partnered with one of the top people.
Yeah, it's happening. It's real life. And I'm blessed, I'm blessed to have it, like you said, come full circle. And while I was playing baseball, Jose Abreu was someone who I was watching. Again, I was a power hitter. I was a third baseman, first baseman, power hitter. So watching Jose Abreu, with big ass, go up there and take big swings, I was like, man, this dude's great. And then it turns out to, we got in contact with, I have a great team behind me, with my music and my career, and my managerial people, got in contact with his managerial people, and basically, just brought forth this idea that I have. And luckily, Jose Abreu was he liked the idea. He likes music too. You could tell he's always walking up to some, dancey Colombian kind of music to it too. But like I said, once he got the idea of what I was trying to do, him and his team were on board, and I couldn't have been, happier to send that link to my pop. I said, Pop, look, I know I quit, but we're doing something in baseball still. So
we're still in baseball. Oh, that's beautiful. That honestly is truly beautiful. Like you said, like you still made it right into the major leagues. You got your music right there. And so just so folks know, right, June 2022 hit single, what he just talked about, Baseball Money Rich. Big Trip struck the first ever hip hop and MLB collaboration, all right, with the Chicago White Sox MVP, Jose Abreu. That's huge. I mean, the first. Anytime you can say the first, I mean, hopefully it won't be the last, but you're changing something, right? You're starting history in the making. And I'm sure other people are looking like, wow, if he can do it, all right, let's start to integrate that, more into the game. So let me ask you, with hip hop and baseball culture, kind of what is the ultimate kind of end goal for you? What do you kind of wanted to expand to in a picture perfect world for Big Trip?
Yeah, so I have a few, checklists that I kind of want to check off. One, is definitely to get that soundtrack right on the video game. I want to make that energizing when you
gotta fix that. Yeah,
for the kids, I want that to be there. Again, I grew up on old time baseball, slow. Even today's game now is faster than what I grew up on, and I still love the game, and I loved it back then too. And now they added in the in between pitches, you can't have as much time, and they're trying to speed up the game a little bit. But for me, it's like, cool. Now that we know, this is the direction it's going in, let's add some more fun around in the ballpark, which to me, I think the NBA shows, they have the halftime show with performances at the NFL games. But for me, it's like, hey, maybe the third, sixth, and ninth inning, we should have a local artist come on and do a one-song performance while they're warming up. So I want to see some live performances included into the ball game, not to take away from baseball, but just to add more energy to the fans so they can start dancing in the stands a little bit while they're eating their popcorn. And then hopefully for the players too, to appreciate some live music going on while they're warming up. And besides that, just overall, like you said before, especially the NBA and hip hop, they're very synonymous, and they're very intertwined culturally, and the guys are going to the same events, they're hanging out, but I want to be hanging out with, my guy Jose Abreu or my guy George Kirby, who was a former Elon teammate of mine, who played for the Seattle Mariners, and Colin Moran of the Pittsburgh Pirates. These are some of my brothers, and I want to be able to, hey, you guys come to my shows, come to my concerts, and I'm going to come to you guys' game, and that's just a full integration is what I'm trying to see. And obviously, I need to be in that celebrity all-star game. That's for sure.
Yes, we're speaking into existence right now.
Yeah, I was speaking that into existence.
We got MLB All-Star coming up right around the corner.
Exactly. So, just like I said, I just want to integrate it. Just make it a little bit more of all-encompassing. Kind of feel culturally and musically. So, like I said, we can excite some of the groups that aren't excited about it right now.
Gave some good ideas. You gave them for free, Big Trip. I hope everybody watching baseball, all the baseball execs, all the marketing teams need to be doing this right now, writing down everything that you just said. I think right now it's a fun time for baseball. I feel like, we see at the top of the headlines, I'll tell you, here in the DMV Baltimore area, we're all very excited about the Baltimore Orioles. I mean, everybody's going crazy right now about the Orioles and what they're doing. So it's a very exciting time again for the sport. And I do think we continue to see it grow. But, the things that sports always have to do, you always have to innovate, right? You always have to evolve. COVID-19 obviously was a perfect example. We had to basically bring sports virtual. But now, sports is entertainment, folks. That's why that's why Super Bowl, you have this huge halftime show, right? And so many people and the commercials and all of that goes into it. And it's really an experience. When people pay for that ticket price, they're not just paying for their, to watch the baseball game. They're paying for everything that kind of goes around the game. So why not bring more into it? I love that.
And especially with, the way social media and all that stuff, life has changed. Life has changed a lot in the last 20 years, with how we interact with people. And again, I'm a person who preached, look, I know baseball's slow, but there's something special that you'll fall in love with it. And I'm someone who really, of course, at my heart of it, I wouldn't want to change anything about it because I thought it was perfect at the time. But it also came with a harsh realization of the world has changed, and I think every company, that's why every company's got, TikToks now or Instagrams now.
Exactly.
It's just part of the, if you got to adapt or die, is what it comes down to. And
that's
even
what
though
it is.
It may take, some uncomfortable changes in the beginning with the MLB, to have these changes come in, but I think they're going to be worth it. And like I said, I want to be at the forefront of it. I want to be the one leading it. And I'm going to be out there on the mound. I'm not going to be doing a 50 Cent and throwing it sideways.
Don't be 50.
Exactly. But I'm trying to throw a seed in right down the middle at 85 miles an hour. That's what I'm trying to do. So.
And you're going to. I can already tell by how you're talking about it. You're going to put the work in. You're going to make sure that pitch is perfect. And, I see you showed us the studio mic. You showed us the baseball bat. So what's next for you? What's coming up that folks can look out for? What are you about to be working on tonight in the studio? I want to hear all the details.
I literally am actually about to go right back into the studio after this. But
I knew it.
I got the whole vault of music. I've been traveling around the country, really the whole world the past year. In between my first EP that I dropped, which was called Going Postal. I dropped that during the pandemic. It kind of took me around the globe a little bit, touring and gaining my notoriety and meeting people. But now that stuff is fun to me. But again, I'm a workaholic. So for me, it's all about, I'm just excited for the fans to hear my new music and how much I've grown. Going back to sports, it feels like I was in the little leagues with my first EP I put out. Now I really feel like I'm on a professional level. And with the music that I'm about to release, I mean, we got 3 unreleased music videos. We got a whole EP released. I probably got 400 songs I could show you if I wanted to right now. But the plan right now is to drop this music. We got the first single that came out of the EP called Superstar that is out right now. It's doing well. We're almost I think we're at 60,000 views in about 5 days.
That's amazing. Congratulations. So check that out, everyone. Superstar.
Yeah, Big Trip Superstar. Just type that in and you're going to see this face come up. And then, once we get the music out, it's back on road. And, until this baseball season ends, still my goal is to, travel around the country. I'm trying to link up with, some of the top high school prospects during the summer tournaments. I just kind of want to show up on them and to say, hey, maybe interview them a little bit, give them a shout out on my Instagram for the hard work that they're doing. And, just get the different cities vibes. You know what I'm saying? Like going back to the cultures, I want to tap into the culture down south, maybe go to Florida, in New York again, LA, just kind of paint a picture of baseball, around the country, what it looks like and what it feels like in different parts of the country. And hopefully have all these top high school prospects playing my music when I walk out. So
I love that. And again, I can't wait to be at baseball games and be like, yep, I had him on my show, y'all. I know him very well, y'all.
And then when you release that song, I get to say the same thing. I knew Kelsey before she was an artist.
There you go. Before I was an artist. Like, now you're going to have people ask me to freestyle on interviews. And you're going to get me in trouble. But, you talked about releasing an album during the pandemic. I'm just curious how that process was for you. Because obviously, COVID-19 just got us all unexpectedly when, we all kind of had to basically go into a hibernation, right? And do everything from inside.
It was just like you said, everyone had to kind of pivot. So it was definitely a pivot off of live music, and our focus kind of shifted off of, okay, we legally can't do shows anywhere right now. So obviously we just got to focus on releasing music. And it actually happened to be naturally at a perfect time for me, because that was in the transition of me being in my group and me being solo. So I kind of just got to really focus on, myself and the album that I was putting out. So I really got to create a lot. And honestly, it was probably the year I traveled the most in my life, to be honest with you, during the pandemic, just between filming and recording and different meetings. I was going around the country, and, I was, scared too. I was taking my precautions, but, I was traveling a lot, and it was different. It was a different time. And, like I said, I'm glad to be, back in front of people, because, for me, again, it's all about energy. It's all about, making people feel something. And I could do that online and, making it happen on Instagram or on YouTube or, Zoom conversations like this. But to me, nothing is more tangible than when I'm 5 feet in front of someone,
Exactly.
Really feel my energy. And the fact that I got to release the album during the pandemic, and then the pandemic stopped and I got to go on tour, it was kind of a beautiful, kind of way that it flowed out. So.
Yeah. And, I think, even though the pandemic was obviously horrible, too many lives lost, so many people, just put us all kind of in this different kind of emotional states that we weren't used to. But, I think those success stories that I've heard from people, they learned a new skill or got a new job, tried something different or new. I think that's huge. And I love hearing you reflect on that. What's up, Todd? Good to see you join the show. We appreciate you, Todd. People think big trip. What do you want them to like? If there was a sentence, what would you say for people when they think about big trip? What do you want them to know about you and remember about you?
I would say a diehard trailblazer. I'm just someone who really, I've always been someone who, I respect authority, but I respect my own authority more than anything. And I want my message for anybody watching. Again, I've proven it with sports, and I didn't make it to the major leagues, but I was pretty damn close to getting there. And I was talking to major league, coaches from all different organizations by the time I was a freshman in high school. So I took it to a very high level. And then I decided, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to go be a musician. And all it was, it's not because I'm special. It's not because I'm different. It's just because I work hard. And like I say, I like to take the path, that's, unknown. I find a lot of, I love it. It just makes me, it excites me to not know what's going to happen. And so, I have my own routine, but also my bigger picture is kind of, it's not something where I could say I'm going to sit here and follow these steps for the next 10 years and I'm going to have, certain acquisitions after that. It's more of, let me see what I could do, and kind of just taking life as a game. And that's what I want the kids to realize is, of course, listen to your parents, listen to your teachers, get your education. But at the same time, get your education from yourself too, and make sure to tap into yourself and really do what you want to do, and don't be scared, because again, you're only scared if you're not prepared. So that's all.
There you go. You got to know yourself, like you said, and so you make sure that you fall in love with yourself, educate yourself, and do the things that you want to do. Again, just proud of you and all you're doing. Nothing will beat hard work, folks. If you put hard work into something, you will see and reap the results. A lot of stuff in life does not come easy, so it's going to have to come with that hard work.
You just said it. Look, I could paint it out to be easy, and in theory, it's very easy. Find what you love, work harder than anybody. But on a day-to-day task, that's a hard thing to do for most people, and even for me. Now, and just like you, Kelsey, you obviously are very, you've done very well and you're very successful in what you do. But we wake up still every day. There's a small part of our brain that says, let me just sleep in. Let me just chill out. I don't want to do something today. But you have to have that foundation that comes underneath that and says, get your butt up. Let's go.
Exactly. If you want to make something happen, it's up to you to make that happen, like you said. And, when you're up early, I feel like you start your day early and so much goes. So again, Big Trip didn't just get here by sleeping in, folks, and being the last one on the team bus. Obviously,
that's it.
He put in a whole bunch of work, and that's why he's here today. Big Trip, it was such a joy and pleasure to have you. Thank you for letting me steal 45 minutes out of your day. We know how busy you are. We'll get you back into the studio. We can't wait to hear the new music. Again, you guys, be on the lookout. He has new music out now. And when you go to baseball games, request it. Tell them to play some Big Trip. All right, folks? That's what we want to hear. Again, wishing you the best of luck. I love having New York come on and rap. I'm a little biased. I love when East Coast folks come on the show. But once again, Big Trip, thanks again so much for your time, and we hope you have a great one. So enjoy talking with you.
Thank you, Kelsey. Thank you guys to the whole network, all the listeners. I appreciate you guys. It's I Am Big Trip on social media platforms. Go and check me out. And everyone have a good night. It's love. It's big love. It's Big Trip. Thank you again, Kelsey.
Thanks so much. Bye. Have a great one. All right, everyone. Thanks again so much for tuning in. We'll be back, of course, next week with another live edition of Listening with KNN, and the guest list is very good. I'm going to bring on a former football player, folks, someone that played the game at the top level. That will just be my little hint for next week. But nonetheless, I hope you will again have a great rest of the week. Enjoy the weekend. For me, it's the birthday weekend, so it's going to be lots of fun. But I truly do appreciate you, and I really do appreciate my team helping me each and every week to get these shows out. And of course, also be sure to tune in to Listening with KNN audio shows that drop on your favorite podcast platform. Big Trip was a joy. We're going to put you out to some Big Trip music. And again, we're talking about baseball, music, and culture, thinking about the evolution of baseball. But that's what the show's about, having those real conversations. So I appreciate your insights and your thoughts. I'll see you all next show. Again, have a great one. Bye, guys.
Follow Kelsey on social media at The Real K Nelson. Catch episodes of Listen In with KNN on YouTube, on air at AM 1340 and 96.9 FM Fox Sports Radio, on Facebook and Twitter, and online at KelseyNicoleNelson.com. Thank you for watching this live stream broadcast of Listen In with KNN.
Listen In with KNN on Fox Sports Radio now offers official Kelsey Nicole Nelson apparel in a variety of styles for men and women. Fashionable shirts, leggings, hats, jackets, and more. Order now and get 15% off and free shipping. Just enter promo code KNN. Get your Listen In with KNN wearables today. And check out Listen In with KNN on Fox Sports Radio with Kelsey Nicole Nelson.